So we're going into part 7 of the Axis Empires series, and it is now the winter of 1937, 1938, and the turn begins with the November-December part of this season. And I'll just mention that on the Europe map, the northern area is affected by snow. That does have movement and combat effects, but there aren't going to be any major military actions in the winter of 1937, most likely, so it won't have much effect. Being a new season, though, we reveal the strategies that were pending and implement them, and then we select new pending strategies. So the Axis has selected military purges. So the implications of this is that Hitler is planning his timetable for war in a secret session of the Chancellery, and Wehrmacht generals von Frisch and von Blomberg are purged. And there's a historical note on the card. It says, our first objective must be to overthrow Czechoslovakia and Austria simultaneously in order to remove the threat to our flank in any possible operation against the West. And that is a quote of Adolf. Other than that, the card is mostly a placeholder. So we go to the Western Allies, and they play Chamberlain diplomacy again. Britain's basically pursuing political options at this stage. And we have another quote from Neville Chamberlain, the Prime Minister. And he said, we are not drifting. We have a definite objective in front of us. The objective is a general settlement of the grievances of the world without war. As you can see on the card, Great Britain is allowed to mobilize an infantry corps during the replacement segment, and then they do roll on the political events table that's right on the card. And Chamberlain's political maneuvers takes Britain to the guarantee table, and then that's on a separate chart. But I rolled a setback, so that basically means they wasted time with no result. Then the Soviet Union plays the support the Republicans strategy. Now, this is a recyclable card, so it can be played numerous times. So they're going to put resources into the Spanish Civil War, and that's escalating, and the Republicans this time, though, are defeated in Barcelona, so that flips back to the nationalists. I don't really have a picture of that, but the card does allow the Soviets to mobilize an infantry unit to the map. Now we go to the Asia map. So the Japanese reveal a new strategy, the mobilization plan. So it appears that Japan is mobilizing for a possible protracted war, and they get a large number of reinforcements into their force pool. Also, the Japanese North headquarters leads an attack against the Chinese forces just south of Piping, and defending was the Hopa First War Zone. You might have seen that in earlier pictures, but it basically got reduced and managed to save some forces by retreating. And the Japanese forces solidify their position near Piping, and they get more replacements in Japan from their conditional events. One thing you'll notice in this picture, I have some Manchukuo forces here. I think they're illegally, I use them illegally. They should not be allowed to cross the border at this point. However, the Japanese had plenty of power from the Second Army and the North headquarters, so I just let this gaff stand. I don't think it's going to affect play that much. The Allies use a new strategy called relocate Chinese industries. Now, admittedly, the Chinese don't have much industrial power, but what little of it exists has been transferred from the coastal areas deeper into the interior to protect them from the Japanese. Also, Yunnan becomes an allied minor power, and I roll on the strategy board, the political table on the card, which results in allies support the resistance. So the Japanese end up losing troops in Nanking from this card. It's kind of an abstracted combat. And the Nationalist Chinese 9th War Zone is reorganized in Chengchao. I don't have a picture of that. I'm sorry. The Soviets implement the Asian diplomacy strategy in an effort to pursue relations with some of its Asian neighbors. And as a result, a Chinese cavalry formation is deployed at Langchao. And then Mongolia becomes a Soviet minor ally. And you can see in the picture here, the Mongolian country, as well as their strategic capital and a garrison. So that brings the November-December 1937 turn to an end, and we'll go on in this season to the January-February turn of 1938, and we'll go back to the Krieg map. Not much happens here. Germany is quiet at the moment, just doing the military purges. Great Britain has Chamberlain's diplomacy, and I roll on the political table, and apparently Chamberlain misreads the situation and he gets conflicting plans. That's basically a name for no result or no effect on the political tables. And then finally, the Soviet Union focuses on sending aid to the Republicans in Spain, and the result of that is military aid. And that's all that happens in the winter of 1938, January, February, on the Krieg map. So we'll go back to the Daisenso map. The Japanese Imperial Navy has taken control of the Japanese government at this point, and the Japanese player decides to organize the colonial forces into larger formations, and then replacements are moved from Japan to China via troop transport. The weather in China at this time is snow, so that causes movement reduction. So the Japanese have to deal with this. But the North headquarters launches an attack against the Chinese forces in the city of Kui Sui. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but it's just to the west of Piping. The defenses fail, and the city falls to Japanese forces. Some of the forces do suffer attrition. And you can see that I still have some Manchukuo forces illegally there. So we're just going to pretend they're Japanese. The Allies are using their political strategy board again, and they end up with Allies support the resistance. So the Japanese Kuomintang army is hit by resistance attack, which just causes reductions. And then finally, the Soviet colonialism table results in a China incident. So that allows Soviet influence to be placed in the province of Xinjiang. And that's all that happens. You can see we're still in the political foundations of World War II happening here. So there's not a lot of action. But that brings the winter of 37 and 38 to a close. And I thank you for watching. Have a great day.